Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, a huge level of support has been propping up Bitcoin for the last 2 months, and it's on the verge of breaking. The last time this level of support was broken was over a year ago, and in fact, this level of support has only been broken twice in the history of Bitcoin, each time resulting in nearly a 50% correction in the Bitcoin market. So in today's video, we're going to be analyzing this level of support and whether or not Bitcoin can actually hold it. Bitcoin is sitting just above it right now, because if Bitcoin falls here, we're probably going to be seeing a major crash. Before we dive on into it though, guys, I do want to remind you that this is just one theory. This is a bearish theory, but there are also bullish theories. We're going to be talking about a lot of bearish technicals in today's video, but there are quite a lot of bullish technicals as well. I don't want you guys to think that I'm only sharing one side. It just so happens that this one video is specifically discussing a bearish scenario that I think has a lot of credence to it, and I think you guys will get a lot of value out of it. So don't flame me in the comments if I'm just talking about bearish technicals in this video, because the next few videos are actually going to be relatively bullish. But anyway, guys, if you do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like button down below. It really helps out the channel and the video ranking in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. We're still trying to get to 30,000 subs before the end of the year. I don't know if we're going to do it. We need about 150 in the next 48 hours. It's possible. It's been done before, but I don't know if we're going to do it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so we can try and get there. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, believe it or not, I'm not actually a clickbaity YouTuber. I'm going to show you what exactly we're talking about right now instead of making you wait through like 17 ads, an infomercial, and then 8 minutes into the video before I explain it to you. What we're looking at, guys, is the 20 monthly exponential moving average. And look, this is a very serious deal. This is not just some moving average I pulled out of thin air. This moving average, as you'll know from the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy down here in the last video in the course, is a very important moving average on literally every single time frame. When I'm scalping down on the 1 minute chart, it's useful, and all the way out here on the monthly chart, it has things to tell us, and this is a good example of it, because like I said in the intro, guys, Bitcoin has only fallen below this level of support twice in history. The first time was back over here in Q3 of 2014, and the time following that was in November of 2018. As you guys will see, when Bitcoin fell below these levels, both times we fell about 50 to 60%. Yeah. Seriously. So guys, realize what I'm saying here is not that Bitcoin is dead. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to collapse below all levels of support and we're going to go to zero. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000. What I am saying is this: Bitcoin is sitting above a key level of support that historically, when broken, results in a major crash to a level of support, which is on the screen right now, and I'll touch on here in a second. But I need you guys to understand that whether or not Bitcoin holds here, the future for Bitcoin is looking very bright, but there are two different pathways that Bitcoin can take back up to all-time high and beyond. We can see a crash first and then rally, or we can just see a straight-up rally. Either one, I'm okay with. Either one brings opportunity, so please don't think I'm trying to spread FUD here. But like I was saying, guys, when Bitcoin falls below this level of support, it typically falls to another level of support, which is, in this case out here on the monthly chart, the 50 monthly simple moving average, which is essentially a 4-year moving average, as there are 48 months in 4 years. In both cases, when Bitcoin fell, we fell all the way down here to the 50 moving average, or if we drop it down to the weekly chart, then we're going to see that Bitcoin fell to the 200 weekly simple moving average, as we can see right here and right here. No matter what it is, guys, that gives us a relatively similar price prediction. If Bitcoin falls like we're talking about here, Bitcoin's support on the weekly chart is around $5,100, and on the monthly chart, it's sitting around $47. Now, one thing you have to understand is that at the very shortest, these moves took 2 months. Back over here, this took like 6 months to complete. These are not short-term moves, and these moving averages are trending to the upside, so I would add about $300 to both of those moving averages as a level of support, which again is where we get that roughly $5,000 to $5,300 support zone that we've talked about so much here in the last couple of videos. So to recap, Bitcoin is sitting above the 20 monthly exponential moving average. If Bitcoin falls here, we're more than likely going to be falling to around $5,000 at a couple of different critical levels of support. But that's a big if, guys. What if Bitcoin doesn't break below the 20 monthly exponential moving average? What technicals and fundamentals are going into a prediction as to whether or not Bitcoin is actually going to fall or not? Well, the first thing I want to point out is that the last time Bitcoin came down and tested this level of support during a bull market like we are kind of in right now, we did actually see that Bitcoin fell down to it and we bounced and rallied, and then we fell down to it and bounced and rallied again, and then we didn't come down and test it again during that same bull market. A similar thing is happening right now on an exaggerated scale, guys. Bitcoin broke bullish above this level of resistance, and now we're coming down to it and testing it. There is a very good reason to believe that Bitcoin might bounce here, and then we might start a new rally, and that Bitcoin might start a new uptrend, and we don't fall back below this level of support. After all, that's exactly what happened in the last bull market. But guys, also remember all the other analysis we've done. This bull market that we're looking at right now looks significantly different to this one over here. So just because we did bounce right here does not necessarily mean we're going to right now. So we have to look elsewhere for our prediction. One thing that I find really interesting, guys, is that on the short term here for Bitcoin, we've actually gone up and tested a level of resistance, a few of them actually, and rejected off of them, unfortunately. A few videos ago when we were talking about a bearish scenario on Bitcoin, someone put in the comments, but Jeb, look, we put in a double bottom down here. And then someone responded below the comment saying, yeah, but Bitcoin just put in a 7 top with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 times the resistance has been tested and Bitcoin has failed. I mean, you can't really argue with that, can you? Nevertheless, guys, the resistance that Bitcoin has tested is pretty obvious. One, we were rejecting off the 20 daily exponential moving average. Now we're rejecting off of the 50 simple moving average right here, as you can see. And all of these times we've been rejecting off of the level around $7,700, which, as you guys will remember, were price zones right over here. And it's also the beginning of a major VPPR level of resistance that starts around 7.7 and peaks at around 8,000. So while yes, Bitcoin has managed to put in a double bottom, like that commenter said, Bitcoin has also put in a 7 top, a septuple top, and it's also sitting below the strongest level of VPVR resistance that Bitcoin has seen for the entire year, more or less, right up here around 8,000. As you can see, we have the majority of the year in view here, and that is showing as the climax. And remember all this, guys, because we're coming to a conclusion later on today's video, and you're going to need to understand what I just said there. Something else, guys, the longs over on Bitfinex, we've been talking for over a month about how they were rallying and rallying and rallying and never stopping, and I told you guys, eventually this is going to get out of hand, and they're going to start to fall, and it's going to add selling pressure, and it's going to be bearish, etc. That started. Over the last week, guys, longs on Bitfinex have been declining. I've talked about this in a few videos, but they have declined significantly more since the last time we did. From the high up here, longs are down 8%, and that doesn't look like that big of a deal, but there is a potential that this falls through the floor. And by the way, guys, for what it matters, which it probably doesn't, but I'll tell you anyway, the Bitcoin longs are sitting above the 20 daily exponential moving average. Don't think that has any significance, but it's kind of interesting. But guys, one thing I want to point out is that there are bullish technicals. Like I said, there's going to be more bullish talk here in the next couple of days. This video in particular is bearish, but one of the bullish things that Bitcoin is looking at right now is this. We have RSI divergence, guys. I've talked about this in several videos, and Bitcoin has not done anything with it yet. Normally, Bitcoin will do something with RSI divergence. It almost always does. It's a very reliable form of technical analysis, that being RSI divergence. And it's one of the things that we discuss over here in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy in this video right here. As you guys can see, we have higher lows down here on the RSI and lower lows here on the chart when you use the candle bodies, which is what you're supposed to do. This RSI divergence took probably 3 weeks to build, which means there should be a relatively similarly sized rally up to maybe $10,000 as a result of that RSI divergence. But guys, RSI divergence has been ignored before, and it can be ignored again. Sometimes Bitcoin is going to pop off, and that's not going to result in a rally. For example, there was RSI divergence right over here when Bitcoin rallied 45% in a day. That was great, but it still didn't manage to start a new uptrend. So for right now, for this theory anyway, I don't see it being that big of a deal, but in the context of some other things we'll be talking about in a few videos, it may still be very important. One other thing, guys, I want to show you was that out here on the weekly chart, Bitcoin is currently rejecting at a few more levels of resistance. Bitcoin has been testing and trading around the 50 weekly simple moving average for weeks here, as you guys can see, but in the last few weeks, Bitcoin has conclusively broken below this level of resistance, meaning that Bitcoin is below another level that it kind of wants to stay above. As you guys can see, back in 2018, Bitcoin would come down and test this as a level of support, and then it would come up and test it as a level of resistance, signaling a new fall in Bitcoin. A similar thing is happening right now, where Bitcoin was testing it, tried to get above it, and then we just straight up broke below it. And the last thing, guys, that I want to mention before we come to conclusion time is this. The 20 exponential moving average is important on every single time frame. I have mentioned that so many times in so many videos over the last 2 years that I've been talking about this technical on this channel. And it's playing a role right now also. Guys, the reason that I said earlier that this bull market is different from this one is that this bull market stayed above the 20 weekly exponential moving average. The market that we're in right now is below it. As you guys can see, for the last 3 months, Bitcoin has been conclusively below this moving average, which is not a good sign. I mean, really, guys, the 20 exponential moving average is almost a divider where you can just draw and shade in this area down here and call all of this bearish, and then draw and shade in all of this area up here and call all of this bullish, and say that when Bitcoin is below it, it's probably going down, and when Bitcoin is above it, it's probably going up. Right now, guys, Bitcoin is below the 20 exponential moving average, and that's not a good thing. If Bitcoin does get back up above this, and Bitcoin does manage to break bullish here like we did over here, and then come down, test it as support, and rally, if Bitcoin can do that, then I will be bullish. That's where those theories that we'll be discussing in the next few days come in. But until that happens, guys, I am personally bearish, and I'm expecting Bitcoin to come down and test that moving average right there, and quite frankly, frankly, I think most of the technical analysis points to that. That is my prediction. I think that Bitcoin is going to break this level right here, and it's going to come down and test that one. We're going to see about a $5,000 to $5,500 Bitcoin. But guys, I want you to understand something. That's not a bad thing. People get freaked out in the comment section when I say that. But look, that is not a bad thing for Bitcoin. It's actually a really good thing for Bitcoin because look, when Bitcoin starts a new uptrend, it needs some hype. It needs some fundamental news going on. It needs something developing in the background. It needs people introducing themselves into the space. It needs retail or institutional adoption or interest from the rest of the internet. I mean, it needs something driving it. And right now, Bitcoin has none of those factors. So if Bitcoin does try to start a new uptrend right now, even if we do get above that moving average that I was talking about here on the weekly chart, even if we do break up here, we're probably not going to stay up there for long because there's not a whole lot of interest going on in the background to drive a new Bitcoin rally. So what that means is that something bullish that Bitcoin can do is actually breaking bearish, because if we fall down here to around $5,000, that's going to help exhaust the bears. That's going to help reset the technical landscape. That's going to help people realize that, oh, this is a great buying opportunity. Let me buy some Bitcoin and start a new rally. This is going to be a good opportunity for us to invest even more money in the market than we already have. And guys, guess what? This is a pretty big shorting opportunity because Bitcoin would be falling 33% from its current price level. I want to break the stigma that people have against bearishness because it's not a bad thing. It's a very healthy part of the market. Markets rally and markets crash. But guess what, guys? People are not made into millionaires and billionaires and people that are of a significant amount of money because they entered during a bull market, or because they entered close to the top, or because they entered at the end of the hype cycle. Guys, the people that made a lot of money on Bitcoin, they didn't enter the market up here. They entered the market down here. And I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like I missed my shot down here. There was a lot more money that I could have invested down here, and I would love to see Bitcoin go back down to 5K so that I can invest even more. So guys, I want to break the mindset that most people in cryptocurrency have that bearishness is bad and bullishness is good, because that's just not true. Bitcoin can't just rally forever. That's what we saw happen over here for 2 years. Bitcoin rallied and rallied and rallied and didn't have a major correction, and then we've been trading to the downside and sideways for the last 2.5 years because of it. There are consequences to those type of market movements, and you need to understand that. And also, guys, before we wrap the video out, there's something I want you to keep in mind, and it's something that I struggle with too a whole lot, especially as a kid I did. You know, as a kid, I went to 7 different elementary schools in 3 different states: Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida. I went to 4 different elementary schools here in Florida. We moved around a whole lot, and we were never in a place that had a significant amount of roots or family. I was always kind of the outcast when I came to a new school. All the other kids would have been there ever since they were in like kindergarten. They've known each other for years, literally about half their life. These kids knew each other, and then I come in out of nowhere, and they're like, "Who's this guy? We don't like you." And guys, most time my status as the new kid or the other kid or the new outsider, compounded with my exceptional ability to be absolutely terrible at socializing, meant that I would get the short end of the stick. I would get bullied, I would get rejected, I would get turned away. And guys, that would really hurt because, like I said, we were in places that I didn't really have a whole lot of family. Actually, no family. I had no friends. It was literally just myself and my father, who I loved to death. And guys, at the time, I mean, it kind of hurt, you know, because I didn't really have anyone in the world, and I had to grow up really quickly, and I had to learn to be independent. But guys, I learned something very valuable, even more valuable than independence, through those experiences, and it was this. It was resilience, and it was the ability to pick myself up and dust myself off when I failed. Because guys, I failed, and I failed a lot. Through those experiences, I gained a personality trait that I wouldn't realize until years later when I started implementing it here on this YouTube channel, and that's that I don't give up. If I want something, I'm gonna get it. We made a video on this channel every single day for 8 months before we got monetized. We had 8,500 subscribers before we were monetized, when we were supposed to be monetized for 1,000 subscribers. They waited over 6 months to monetize us for whatever reason, thanks YouTube. But I didn't give up. I didn't quit. And 2 years later, this is my full-time job. I just ordered a Shure SM7B and a Rodecaster Pro audio mixing board for the channel. We're making huge updates. The next year is going to be amazing. We might even get a silver play button next year. And things are going great. And you know what I learned during the time that I was building this channel and the time that I was growing up as a kid, when I would be turned down and rejected and turned away and told that I wasn't good enough and bullied and made fun of? You know what I would learn? I would learn that if you just kept trying, if you just kept going, if you just kept putting one foot in front of the other, eventually you're going to get a little bit of traction. Then you're going to get a little more. And then that's going to compound. That's going to snowball. That's going to grow. And eventually you're going to realize that if you stick with something long enough, you're going to be successful at it, even if at first you're terrible. And then you upgrade to being bad. And then you upgrade to being even worse than bad. And then you upgrade to being decent, and then good, and then great, and then legendary. Nothing worth having came easily, and I guarantee you every single person that built themselves a name or a business or a career or a legacy, when they started, they were horrible at it. There was a time that Michael Phelps couldn't swim. There was a time that Michael Jordan probably didn't even know what a basketball was. No one started out good at trading markets. No one started out good at technical analysis. No one started out good at anything. It was because they never quit trying that they continued to do that. And I know that's cliched. I know that's something that people say to kids because they want them to grow up and be resilient or whatever, but it's true. There are reasons that cliches are cliches. So guys, as we move here into 2020, I want you guys to remember that whatever you're trying to do right now, whatever your dreams are, getting to those dreams is going to be hard, and it's going to take years. It's going to take dedication. It's going to take hard work, blood, sweat, tears, and abject terror. I promise you it's going to be hard, but I also promise you that it's going to be worth it. So don't quit trying, and make 2020 the best year of your life, because I think it's going to be the best year of our lives here at the Crypto Jeff YouTube channel. And with that said, guys, I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.